You are listening to The Michael Lodge Show. Wealth, business, and taxes. Oh yeah, and some politics. Let's get started.
And good morning, this is Mike Lodge. Another day, another $1.55. I tell you, I got up this morning and I started looking at some of the news feeds. I really don't get the full newscast. I don't watch the news. I just get a few news feeds that come to my cell phone in the morning. And that's the only time I look at the politics or the news or anything, is at that time of the morning. And I only spend just a brief amount of time, because I told myself several years ago that I was not going to do anything with the news, because the news is biased. It's not good reporting. It's not telling me the facts. It's telling me an agenda, basically. And so I decided, okay, I'm just going to just pick the items that I'm concerned about and see exactly what's going on. So I spend maybe 5 to 10 minutes in the morning as I begin looking at business issues for the day, because I look at political and then I look at business issues, but I spend more time on business issues because I need to know what's going on. Since I do business mediation and I do business advisory work, I want to know what's going on in this world of business. Politics corrupts business. I'm telling you this from the bottom of my heart. The more and more I see politics being involved in daily business decision making, we no longer have good business leaders. Politics corrupts so badly. So I was looking at the politics of today. I was looking at what's happening in California, and of course, LA Times comes out with this article, of course, that says Gavin Newsom is ahead, and the yes vote is behind, not by very much, but that was the indication that LA Times. Now, I don't know who's doing the polling. I don't know any of this stuff, because what I'm finding out, and I think you have too, is that polling is a bunch of crap. All it does is push an agenda, and they design the questions around what they want it to be. It's just like here in mediation, I design questions to get them to the middle, so that we can begin to negotiate and begin to resolve issues. Well, they do the same thing. So what they do is they take these polls, and they want to get to the fact that Newsom is ahead, so they design the questions so that it gets to the answer that leads them to Gavin Newsom is ahead. Because that is the agenda of the LA Times. They want Newsom back in. They want him to retain his power over the state of California. Now, LA Times has never cared about the small business people in California. They've never, even the politicians in California, they hate small business. They hate any kind of business. They have literally told businesses, go away, bye-bye, we don't need you. So we have a state in California that the individuals that living there now, who have remained there, don't have this I don't care attitude. They don't care what happens. They're just trying to survive every single day. They're trying to meet their bills. They're trying to make their rent. That's why you have so many people living in the same household, because they're all trying to save money, because the way to live in California is very expensive. To rent an apartment there, even a 300 square foot what do you call them? Studio apartment can cost you $1,800 to $2,000 for 300 square feet. So that's why individuals there, they have this feeling, I don't care anymore. You know what? The politicians are going to do whatever they want to do. And so they don't care. So probably, maybe they're right that Newsom will hold power there, because it's come to the fact that Californians, there's some people that are boisterous, but they never carry it through. And so that's why you get so many failed politicians there, is because the voters don't care. And the only people that turn out to vote are the ones who are pushing their own political agenda. They're not the individuals who are trying to meet the rent, trying to pay for their groceries, trying to get to work, trying to find a way to get to work. And there's a whole bunch more, trying to take care of their children and everything else. So those are not the people that are voting. The people that are voting are the ones pushing the political agendas. And so that's how these foolish politicians get voted back in year after year after year, because Californians just don't care. They don't give a damn anymore. And you're seeing it more and more because they keep voting in the same people who keep doing the same damage to their lives in California. I don't know. I get up in the morning and I read the news and I say, how can anybody even spend much time watching all of these news stations? I remember when my mom was alive and her husband was alive at the same time, they would have the news on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And they got addicted to it. And I have a friend in California who also became addicted to it. Until finally we had to tell him, hey, you've got to get off this. You got to get on the chill pill because you are getting too much into this political stuff. It's demanding of your life. You should be out there walking your dogs. You should be out there building tables. You should be out there doing something that's positive for your life. And I was I got into that same boat because I was so frustrated with what was going on that I started watching these news stations all over and over and over all day long. Just a second, coffee. Listen, I'm drinking this coffee to protect you, okay? Because if I don't have the coffee, I could become somebody that you don't want to hear about or know about, okay? So I'm drinking this coffee to protect you this early in the morning. Just so you know. But anyway, so we've got these individuals who get so addicted to watching the news 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, when they should be out walking and doing fun stuff, enjoying their life, especially those who are retired. I tell you, I've moved to Florida, and I love living in Florida. I like the atmosphere here and the calmness and everything. But I think I'm going to die if I don't get out and do something pretty soon, because there's nothing really to do while it's so hot. So you sit trapped in your apartment or your home, and wondering, what can I do? Where can I go? Well, the only place that people normally go here is to the drugstore and to the grocery store. Very seldom do they do anything else more than that. I mean, the young individuals do. But when you get up to my age, I tell you, I think that if you live in if you live in Florida for too long, and if you have been the type of individual who has been active. When I lived in California, I was active all the time. When I was in South Carolina, I was active all the time because I had 2 acres. I had to take care of them. I had to trim trees. I had to mow the lawn. I had to plant bushes. I had to build a porch. I was busy all the time. When I went to bed, when my head hit the pillow, I was gone. But I started early in the morning and I finished late in the evening. So I was always busy, and I've always been the type of individual who has been busy. So a few months ago, I said, you know what, you got to do something. And so I started watching YouTube, and I started seeing all these individuals going up what is called the Great Loop, which starts in Florida, goes all the way up the intercoastal highway, up to New York, over to the Great Lakes, and down the Mississippi, and finally end up in Louisiana, and end up back in South Carolina. Now, it takes a year. It ends up in Florida. It takes over a year to do this because you're stopping by all of the various little villages along the way and the little townships and everything, which are quaint. All the historical spots that line the coast of America. And I said, I've got to do that. So I started planning. So the first thing that I did, thank God I've got 2 cars, but the first thing I did, I said, which car do I really need? And so I got rid of the Maserati. So that went. So I sold that. Now I'm looking at all of my furnishings, because if I buy a boat to do this Great Loop, what do I need all of this artwork and everything else for? And I don't want to put it into storage. So I decided, okay, I've got to start selling this stuff off. So today, my plan is to go through all of my inventory of everything that I have, assign some pricing to it, and start selling it off. Can you believe I've got Tiffany glass, and I've got all kinds of different types of bowls and everything that I can't put on a boat? So I've decided, okay, I'm going to commit to this. I've already decided on what boat I'm going to get. And I've now got to get rid of all this stuff. Now, it may take me a little bit of time to get rid of all this stuff that I've collected over the years. So it's time that I plan something. I got to do something. I've got to get out there. So I've decided I'm going to make this trip worthwhile. So what I'm going to do is, as I go up the intercoastal highway and all those little towns that have Chamber of Commerce, I'm going to contact them all and say, listen, I'm on my way up. Let's sit down with your individuals and let's talk about business, and let's talk about mediation and how we can resolve issues faster and how to do it. And so I've planned this all out. I've been beginning to write my script and my handouts and everything. So I decided I've got to be busy. Listen, when I had my offices in California, I was busy all the time, and I loved being busy. So I would get into the office at 7 a.m., sometimes earlier, but most of the time at 7 a.m., and I would not leave the office until 10, 11 o'clock at night. I loved what I was doing. I loved working with my clients. I loved working with my staff, and we were busy all the time. And then 3 years ago, I decided, okay, I've got to get out of here. I've got to get out of California because I know I can no longer trust the government in California. So I started packing stuff up. I started sending stuff over to a warehouse. I shut my 2,500 square foot office down, and I went down to 300 square feet. It was just me and my assistant as we started to pack everything away and start getting rid of all of the office furniture, all of the Xerox machines, everything, computers, everything, shredding all of the tax returns that we had accumulated since we began the company back in 1984. We still had tax returns like that. Those all had to be shredded and go away. And then I had to start notifying all my clients that we were no longer going to prepare tax returns. And those that were large enough that I had to keep on just for a little bit because we had some things rolling into the next year, I finally got rid of them. So I shut the office down. And I went to South Carolina, and I built a porch, and I redid a house. I did everything. And then I said, I want to move to South Florida. So I came down to South Florida. COVID hit, and I was stuck in the house, and it was like hell. Literally hell, being stuck someplace that I didn't want to do. So this last few weeks, I've been planning this Great Loop adventure of mine, and begin to study the plots. And I've downloaded plot software onto my iPad and onto my cell phone, trying to get to understand the depth of the sea and the tides and everything else that you need to know. And now I'm going to start a boating class so that I can know all the rules and regulations and everything else. And I've been talking to various captains, various captains and how they plan out the plotting for their trips and everything, and looking at the weather and who are they contacting regarding the weather, because there are certain individuals out there who have made a full-time job at looking at weathers and telling captains of boats of when and where they should travel and what latitude they should be. I mean, it's a whole different life, right? But the reason why I decided to do it by boat, because I said, okay, I can set up an office on my boat. I can still do my mediation from my boat. I can still advise clients on my boat, because I've got everything that I do now is cloud driven. I do not have anything stored on my computer anymore. So everything, I can be anywhere. If I have my cell phone and if it's there, I can do a Zoom call. I can do a Zoom advisory call. So this is something that I feel very important and I need to do, because if I just sit here in Florida, I am going to die early, and I don't want that to happen. And I don't even like to be thinking about this word death. But I see it a lot, because in not in Southern California, but in Southern Florida, we have a lot of older generation people, and I love them very much. And I tell you, it is really something to see these people still surviving, still going forward, and still being involved. And I want to be involved. So that's why I started planning the Great Loop Adventure. So I think one of the most positive things that I did was when I turned off the news and stopped watching the news. When I stopped listening to so much political nonsense. I've also come to the conclusion that California is failing. It will be a failure, and it will continue to fail, because it seems as though Californians don't care about what's going on in their own state. So they're going to let fools run that. So if they're going to let fools run it, why even say anything more about it? Another cup of coffee. Just 1 second. So I think we've got to come to this point at some stage of our lives to say, okay, enough with all this. Let's live. Let's go out and do stuff that has been a dream of ours to do. Let's do stuff that is going to make a difference. Let's do stuff that is going to impact other people in a positive way. All of this negativeness and all of this government stupidity and fools running this country, I'm sorry, but I'm beginning to wonder if we are putting fools into government, we are probably fools ourselves. So I don't want to deal with fools. What I want to deal with is working up the intercoastal waterway, talking to business people about small business and mediation and how you can resolve situations instead of going to court. I want to be able to make an impact and make a difference. And so that is my goal, and that is my new focus on life. I believe in myself. And I also believe that I know I can make a difference in somebody else's life. And I'm doing it every single day when I do mediation cases. And people come angry and want to kill the other side, and we get to that point where we're able to negotiate terms and resolve the problem, I feel as though that is making a difference. And 3 years ago, when I started shutting down my offices in California, I had over 3,000 tax clients in that office. And then a lot of those individuals, I did make a difference, because I was always the type of individual that sat down with people and tried to resolve situations. When I had my practice, I was talking about yesterday about inflation and how a lot of you have never gone through inflation before. I think during the course of my practice being open since 1984, I went through 3 downward slides in the economy. One of them was when we had the housing crisis. We had loans that were no good. We had banks just about ready to fail. I had clients who thought that they were doing something great, and they went out and got these no qualifying loans, these lie loans is what we call them, because they didn't have to show their income or anything. And they went out and they bought 2 and 3 and 4 houses because they thought they were going to make a big, huge money-making scheme of theirs. Unfortunately, what happened is that the market fell out of the loan industry, and everybody began losing their houses. They began declaring bankruptcy. So the first year, I had a whole bunch of individuals coming in trying to get their taxes in order and their finances in order, because they were declaring bankruptcy. The second year was divorces. Everybody was getting a divorce because the financial stress had placed so much pressure upon them that they didn't know how to handle it, so they wanted to get divorced. So I had a year of bankruptcies, a year of people losing their jobs and losing their houses and their investments that they thought they were going to make money on, to going into divorces and separation and all of the nonsense that goes on when people get divorced. Now, these individuals, even though they were getting divorced, they trusted me, so they still came back to me together to file their tax returns, to advise them on what to do. So I've always tried to, in my work, try to serve the clients that I have. And I still do that to this day. So 3 years ago I said, okay, enough of this. I'm tired of it. I don't want to do it anymore. There had been some crises within the company with individuals. And I said, I don't want to do this anymore. What I want to do is just serve. I just want to make sure that what I do deals with individuals and trying to bring them together and resolving issues. And so I decided I will do mediation full time because it is an act of service. And being a Christian, I really believe in service, and I believe in trying to keep families communicating well and trying to get them to treat their children well, even though they're divorced, they're separated, they're away from each other, they're still co-parenting, and they still have a responsibility as parents. And then in business situations too, because I know business so very well, that it's easy for me to sit down and mediate with business partners, individuals who are having problems trying to keep their business together, or families that are trying to keep their business together, or who are going to succeed each other. So it's an act of service. I feel that mediation that I do is an act of service. So that's what I decided to do. And then living here in Florida, I love Florida, so I have nothing bad to say about Florida. Nothing. Except that for me, it's a place where I don't want to stay still. If you're an older individual, if you want to come and have a calm and peaceful life, this is a place to come. It's a beautiful place. It's a wonderful place. It's the type of weather that will keep your old bones warm, and you will be happy. And you will have your old friends. But for me, I don't want to stop. I want to keep going. I have always told people that they ask me the question, when are you going to retire? I say, I'm not going to retire ever. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep doing what I love to do. I'm going to keep telling people stories, and I'm going to keep listening to stories. I don't want life just to be stuck in this apartment doing nothing. So, understand me when I say that it's time to rise up. You got to rise up and do something. It's time to rise up and make changes in your life. This COVID has kept you down. I understand that. These vaccines and all the political nonsense regarding the vaccines, government has tried to keep you down. Don't let it. Rise up and do something. If you see something that needs to happen within your community, rise up and do something. If your church needs help, rise up and do something. If your school that you're sending your children to needs something, rise up and do something. You would be surprised at how much money teachers spend on school supplies for their students because they're not getting reimbursed by the schools at all. And they need mats for the floor so they can tell stories and read books. They need books to read. They need videos to watch. They need coloring utensils to make artwork with. And so the school's teachers, they literally take money. I had one teacher in Los Angeles who was literally spending between $14,000 and $16,000 a year just on her student supplies. If you know that your teacher needs help, rise up and do something. We can do, if you are at a point in your life where you think, I got to do something, then rise up and do something. So the Great Loop is going to be my rise up. Of course, I'm going to be floating at the time, but I'm still going to rise up every morning, try to help a business along the way, listen to some mediation situations where people need help to resolve a problem. I'm not going to charge anything for it. So I'm going to go up and I'm going to do this great loop. And I may go to other places too where I feel there is a need for a different voice, a different story. An individual that you can come to and tell me your story. And try to find a resolution to something. Rise up, do something. That's what this life is all about. Forget about the news, forget about Fox, forget about CNN, OAN, and Newsmax, and all these other news organizations that are out there. Forget about them. Limit your time, 5-10 minutes like I do. Don't let it upset you. Just listen to what's going on. Focus on your personal finances because we're going through inflationary times at the moment. So you need to focus on that and get yourself a budget. If you need help, just let me know. But rise up. Do something. Listen, this is my podcast for the day. I am done. I still have half a cup of coffee that I can enjoy while I'm editing this. If you like my podcast and my vlogs and my blogs, go to www.buymeacoffee.com/Michael Lodge. I have everything there, all my blogs and vlogs and everything. And podcasts are all right there. If you want to just listen. Right now it's free of charge, so you can just listen. You can follow me, and you'll get updated every time I post. And I post several times a day. But go there. Go to www.buymeacoffee.com/Michael Lodge and follow me. If you want to help me out and buy me a cup of coffee, I'd greatly appreciate it. But if not, listen to my blogs and vlogs and podcasts. If you have any business questions or mediation questions or dispute issues that you would like a little advice on, send me an email at mediator@lodge-co.com. Again, that's www. I'm sorry, this is my email. So it's mediator@lodge-co.com. That's what happens when you only take 2 sips of coffee and your mind is not abuzz yet. I told you I do it out of protection for you that I drink this coffee. Everybody go out and have a great day. This is Mike Lodge. Pass me on to other people. I love talking to you every single day. Talk with you soon. Bye-bye. This podcast is brought to you by Michael Lodge and is produced by Michael Lodge. Fully focused on content.